championship so close you can taste it.
Oliver Askew has won the Freedom 100.
Side by side. And your new champion, Kirkwood Rasmussen. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. We have a fantastic afternoon for you here. Of course, all part of this VP Fuels Road to Indy finale weekend. It's going to be a fun day of competition. Wheel-to-wheel racing still to come. Not quite wrapped up yet with qualifying. Yesterday afternoon, of course, Indy Pro 2000 and Indy Lights both on the racetrack for their single practice session of the weekend. But USF2000 waiting until earlier this morning, 8:40, they were on the racetrack for their lone practice run. They've got to qualify still. Indy Pro 2000 and Indy Lights both get qualifying in the books. We have their grids already set for the three main events we'll have this afternoon. But the drivers here right now in USF2000 just getting ready to take to the racetrack. It's their turn to see how the grids are going to look when we get set to go. As you can see, drivers rolling out here under the Cooper Tire Bridge, turn number 1 at Mid-Ohio. Then, of course, down into the famous keyhole corner of this particular racetrack. Again, looking forward to what should be a really interesting qualifying session. Things a little tighter, of course, in Indy Pro 2000 and Indy Lights in terms of the championship battle. A little bit different here, of course, with the drivers in USF 2000. It has been a really strong season for Kiko Porto and Michael D'Orlando. But Porto for D4's Racing comes in with a pretty sizable advantage right now in this championship fight. He's had a pretty good run over the last couple of races, victorious at Indianapolis. Then was able to get one win at Road America, then a win at Mid-Ohio, then a win at New Jersey. It seems like everywhere he's gone in the second half of the season, Kiko Porto's been able to get at least one win, piling up the points that he needs obviously to move forward. Currently coming in here with, I believe, a 39-point lead, or is it 49? 49-point lead, I think, coming in here now. So, again, a really good opportunity for Kiko Porto to grab a championship here. And, of course, the big thing about it is that scholarship to move up to the Indy Pro 2000 level, one of the big, of course, components of the entire Road to Indy, presented by Cooper Tires. Again, a busy afternoon for you, as I said, and a busy weekend, to be honest, because we're back again tomorrow qualifying for all three series ahead of the back end of the doubleheader. 3 races for you from Mid-Ohio tomorrow, but still 3 races to come here as well. We'll kick things off with a 12:30 preview show for the Indy Lights Series, the front end of their doubleheader. It's Kyle Kirkwood versus David Malucas. Kirkwood drawing first blood, if you will, getting that pole position and qualifying, that extra bonus point he needs to try to win that championship over Malucas. This is a challenging racetrack here at Mid-Ohio. 13 corners in total, 2.258 miles around this track. And, of course, some of the tough corners, right? Flat out, roll in the corner speed in turn 1. Getting through that downhill off-camber right-hand keyhole, through the entire Madness section, 4, 5, 6. Over the crest of turn number 9, a very tough corner. We always talk about the cars getting, really light over there. The rear end will break loose a bit on you. Tough part of that racetrack. And, of course, coming up out of Thunder Valley, that blind corner, turns 10 and 11. Down to the carousel, turn 12, and turn 13, the final corner on the racetrack that leads onto the front straightaway. There's a shot at turn number 8 now. This is turn 9. I talked about that. You can see the cars getting super light, cresting over top of the track, and that's really where you start the car to rotate coming into that corner. So you've already got the car kind of broken loose a little bit to get it rotated in the right direction. And then, of course, then crest the top of the hill. You lose all the weight off the car, comes back down and settles. The dampers all compress again. You're trying to get the track all the way out onto the exit curbing. Qualifying now underway for drivers, as I said, in the USF 2000 program. We'll see who steps things up here. We'll see whether or not we have some teams go to a couple sets of tires. It's only a 20-minute session for drivers at USF 2000, so it makes it tougher to break this up into 2 different qualifying runs. Give them a little bit of time, obviously, to dial things in. Practice was earlier today, as I said, a green racetrack this morning. Jace Denmark out of Arizona for Pabst Racing was actually the fastest driver with a 121.115. Denmark has been a very impressive rookie this season, and should he come back to USF 2000 next year, in my opinion, definitely a championship contender. No doubt about that. Josh Green, second this morning. Even Sooner Murthy with third. Michael D. Orlando, fourth, and Josh Pearson rounding up the Fast Five. Kiko Porto, the championship contender, was sixth this morning. But again, as we said, coming in with a really, really solid advantage in the championship. Really just needs to have a good finish. And I believe, unofficially, I'm not the guy that holds all the numbers, but I believe that if Kiko finishes the race this afternoon in the top four, he will secure the championship. He has that much of a gap over Michael D. Orlando. But stranger things have happened at this particular racetrack because it is so tight. We've seen incidents in 1, in 2, down into 4. Kiko Porto will be definitely on the defense on an opening lap, trying to build himself some kind of a cushion front and back to see what we have lined up. Qualifying now underway, as we had said, so just getting things rolling here right now. About 5 minutes into what will be a 20-minute session. One of the things you'll see throughout this weekend here is this awesome onboard shot that we have from V-Box Motorsport. This is actually a camera on board with Eli Navarro, the Lucas Oil School of Racing Formula Car Series champion who came in with a scholarship this year running for D-Force Racing. So riding on board right now with Eli Navarro. Of course, this is a live shot. We have both the front and rear cameras for you available here as well. So watching him work his way through turn number 6, 7, and 8 now. Eli Navarro currently in the 10th position for D-Force. He's had some really good runs throughout the season for Eli Navarro. Out of Thunder Valley now. Right close to the edge of the racetrack, that Armco guardrail on the right side of the track. Very tough part of this facility. I've had a chance to run here numerous times. We'll, of course, bring Parker Thompson in later on this weekend to be my driver analyst here on the play-by-play call. And Parker, of course, has run here in USF2000, Indy Pro. He's driven a lot of race cars around this particular track. For me, it's been more 125cc shifter carts, Formula V, Formula First, a lot slower in terms of the lap time. But I do have a good feel for at least the layout and where to place the race car. And you can see coming up into Thunder Valley, you've got to be to the right of that track because the blind current turn over top of turn number 11, man, that's a daunting part of this facility. Out of the gate right now, we got 3 laps in, almost 7 minutes in the books as well. So let's have a look at the top 5. It is Yuvan Sooner Murthy leading the way right now in the number 22 machines, even with almost 0.2 of a second on Michael D. Orlando. D-Force drivers running 3rd and 4th with Prescott Campbell and Kiko Porto, both drivers winners on the season. Thomas Nepvu in the number 2 for Cape Motorsports, the young Canadian winning at Road America, now in 5th. Sooner Murthy now goes to the top of the chart. So again, the normal issues with trying to call through a session like this when so many changes happen. Sooner Murthy now P1, the Orlando 2nd. 22 drivers in the field. And of course, the 22 drivers we do have in the field is what makes it interesting in terms of Kiko Porto as well. Michael D. Orlando came in and won both races, and Kiko Porto finished at the very tail of the field. Anything 20 on back is only 1 point. So, heaven forbid, of course, for Kiko Porto and his championship aspirations, if he finishes last in both races, he's only going to get 2 points. So there is an opportunity still, of course, for Michael D. Orlando to have a stellar weekend and potentially steal it away. But for Kiko, as I said, a top 4 finish in the race this afternoon would be enough to clinch the championship for him. A couple of good finishes side by side are going to be what it takes to get it done. That said, Michael D. Orlando, the P1 right now on the number 4 machine for Cape Motorsports, 120.741, only 900ths quicker than Yuvan Sooner Murthy. So D. Orlando right now to the top. Sooner Murthy into 2nd. Nolan Siegel in 4th. Siegel, winner at New Jersey Motorsports Park, has now worked his way up into the 3rd spot, the Californian in the number 10. He'll go down to 4th as his teammate Prescott Campbell now goes to 2nd. So the top 5 now, D. Orlando, Campbell, Sooner Murthy, Siegel, and Pearson. Still not quite to the halfway point of this 20-minute session. Spike Kohlbecker, the St. Louis driver for Ignite Autosport with Cape Motorsports, now in the 6th spot. Josh Green, 7th. Kiko Porto in 8th. Thomas Nepvu, 9th. And Jace Denmark, who was quickest in the morning practice session, currently 10th. Miles Rowe, winner in New Jersey for Force Indy in the 99, now 11th. Christian Weir, who made his debut at New Jersey for Turn 3 Motorsport, is in the 12th position. Bijoy Garg in 13th. Eli Navarro, 14th. And Dylan Christie, 15th. Being told potentially a car spinning on the track somewhere. Quick look through the cameras I have at my disposal. and not able to see it, being told the driver was able to get back underway and rolling, so this session continuing. Let's go back to the order here. As I said, Evan Stammer in 16th now. Dylan Christie had moved up to 15th. Stammer in 16th. Billy Fraser 17th. Andre Castro in the 18th spot, finally getting on track and getting rolling. Only his second lap in the books for Castro, who's running this weekend with Legacy Autosport. Jackson Lee in the 19th spot. Trey Burke 20th. Kent Vaccaro and Michael Myers rounding out the 22 drivers in the field. Take an opportunity to talk a little bit here about Andre Castro. Good to have him back with Legacy Autosport. Even more for Andre Castro being named to the Team USA Scholarship Program for 2021. He, along with Max Esterson, will race in the Formula Ford Festival Brands Hatch and the Walter Hayes Trophy at Silverstone with Low Dempsey Racing. So great opportunity for Andre to get that name back into the spotlight, potentially head overseas to the UK to try to win a festival and a Walter Hayes Trophy, essentially the two biggest Formula 1600 races in the world right now. A couple of drivers coming in for fresh rubber, so indeed we are going to see it split strategy. 3 sets of tires for the 5 sessions plus the carryover set for USF2000. So a number of drivers, people going to 2 sets of tires here. Qualifying so crucial at Mid-Ohio. D'Orlando still on top, but by only 18 thousandths of a second over Jace Denmark. I just recently said he was 10th, but Denmark in the 23 putting down a good lap last time by in that Pabst Racing machine, that trademark black liveried car for Pabst. 120.760. Denmark just 18 thousandths of a second behind your current provisional pole sitter, Michael D'Orlando. As I said, loads and loads of competition coming for you here this afternoon as we get to go wheel-to-wheel racing momentarily. We're going to wrap this thing here up probably right after the noon hour, maybe around 12:05. We cap things off by 12:10. Really only 20 minutes before we're back live here on Road to Indy TV, as we'll have our pre-show, Parker Thompson and myself, starting at 12:30 for Indy Lights. We'll bring you the Indy Lights race 1, head down to pit lane, victory lane, and have a interview with our drivers here. We've got some good camera stuff set up down there to be able to have our victory lane interviews for you here on Road to Indy TV. We'll essentially go right into the Indy Pro 2000 race right after that. Michael D'Orlando on top, and that number 4 still holding on. This would be, again, a step in the right direction for D'Orlando to be able to get pole, but everybody has come in. They put on fresh Cooper tires. They've had a feel for what the car is like with fresh rubber, not something they've done yet today. Of course, running the carryover set of tires, the used set from New Jersey for that practice session this morning. But you put the fresh tires on to start the session. Feels good. What does it need? This is the engineer talking to the driver. What do we have to do? What small thing can we do? Easy thing we can change here on pit lane to potentially put you in a better place in terms of the balance of the race car. And that's, again, that minor little change. They'll go back out on the fresh rubber. They've had a chance to feel what the car does on the fresh rubber. And then again, it all comes down to the driver, right? They've got to be able to optimize that fresh rubber and get the job done. The fuel, of course, coming down a bit here after a 20-minute session. So as we get later into the run, the car's going to get lighter and lighter with the more fuel that's burned. Driver definitely has to optimize. 7 minutes and 20 seconds remaining. Still Michael D'Orlando on top. Jace Denmark in second. Prescott Campbell third. Nolan Siegel fourth. And Yuvan Sundaramurthy in fifth. Been able to leverage our new component, the V-Box Motorsport onboard camera with Eli Navarro. Eli currently in the 14th position. It turned his fast lap of 121.638. Came to pit lane. Not sure whether or not they're putting fresh rubber on that machine yet. Having a look around. Looks like potentially a rear wing adjustment for Eli Navarro. And there's Eli right there. You can see the rear-facing camera on the top left of the screen as well. Yeah, maybe a little bit of an adjustment to the rear wing for Navarro on the D-Force Racing entry. We'll see if Eli gets the pull out here momentarily. Indeed, he does. So Eli dumping the clutch, get back on the racetrack here. You can see the entry lane, the racetrack to the far side, the curbing there on the inside of that corner. Safely back out onto the racetrack, and Eli Navarro will try to improve on his 14th position as he works his way now up into the keyhole. D'Orlando, Denmark, Campbell, Siegel, Sooner, and Worthy. So essentially Cape Motorsports, Pabst, and D-Force Racing, the drivers currently in the top 5. Talk about the championship battle. We talk about the team championship battle as well. D-Force Racing and Pabst Racing, the two drivers fighting it out for the team championship. A 40-point lead coming into this final doubleheader for D-Force Racing. So they're in a very good position to potentially win the team championship here as well, which is a sought-after title in terms of the team owners and the teams themselves. Cape Motorsports has won that many, many times, as has Pabst Racing, and D-Force looking to break the nut there and see if they can't get themselves in for a team championship. It's been a really good year for D-Force. It's been, for me, how many times we talked about their drivers all being in the top 10. And that's what we've seen so many times, whether it was Prescott Campbell, Nolan Siegel, Kiko Porto, or Eli Navarro. They were all top 10 on many occasions. And of course, we've seen race wins out of Siegel, Campbell, and Porto. So 3 of their 4 drivers winning. All 3 of those drivers, of course, second year in the series. Eli Navarro, a rookie this year, coming out of the Lucas Oil School of Racing Formula Car Series. Navarro currently 17th in points, looking to try to work his way up into the top 15. Good possibility he'll be a top 15 driver when it's all said and done. D'Orlando still on top, though, with 4.5 minutes remaining. But tire's going to start getting into those optimum range now, is it not? Let's see what happens here with the drivers who are pushing hard late in this run. Again, those of you tuning in here on Road to Indy TV, the app, or online, whatever it may be, we'll start our pre-race show for the Indy Lights event here today at 12:30. We'll do back-to-back races, Indy Lights and Indy Pro. Another little break in the action, come back with USF2000. That race scheduled to go green this afternoon at 3:50. Gorgeous day right now here at Mid-Ohio. There is a bit of cloud cover, but 70 degrees trackside. Couldn't ask for much more for a weekend here in the opening of October. I've been here this time myself in driving cold rain. So right now, pretty nice here on a Saturday. It was beautiful on Friday. We won't talk about Sunday yet because with championships potentially up for grabs, the percentage chance of rain is quite high. Very surprising, and we'll see if that plays any kind of a role in deciding who gets the championship. I'll tell you one thing. Here's a move early. Juven Sooner Worthy has gotten to P1, so guys getting quicker on their second run on fresh tires. 120.491 for Sooner Worthy. Very close to the qualifying record, 120.250. Yeah, Sooner Worthy about 2/10 away from a track record here. I had said earlier today, based on what we saw in practice, I wasn't sure we'd be able to go after a record here, but I think we could. Matt Brabham set that track record, the old Van Diemen USF2000 car, 2012. But this record has stood for 9 years, a 120.250. Sooner Worthy just a couple of tenths off a potential track record here for USF2000. I'd said during the practice, those cars earlier, those USF2000 Van Diemens had a lot more actual aero downforce. The new car here, this USF17 we brought out a number of years ago, a lot more mechanical downforce, not near the aero downforce. Kiko Porto, Josh Green, Michael D'Orlando, everybody other than Sooner and Worthy turning their fastest lap that last lap. Everybody else in the top 10. Kiko Porto's gone to second, a 120.541. Josh Green, 120.519 now. Not Siegel. Siegel, 519. He'll go to second. Somebody will have to put a flyer in late here to see if they can't steal this track record from Brabham. But you know that D'Orlando has his head down. He needs this pole to keep that dream alive, but potentially racing to the championship tomorrow. And Josh Pearson, your current Fast 5, with still 2 minutes to go. And as I said, fuel load decreasing with every lap. Car getting lighter and lighter, and these Coopers do have a lot of consistency. Michael D'Orlando to P1, 120.182, and it's a new track record. A new track record for D'Orlando, 2/10 quicker than Sooner and Worthy. So reset the books for USF2000, 120.820, the record for Matt Brabham that stood for 9 years. by the wayside as a new track record. Whoever qualifies on pole will roll out here with a new track record. Of course, qualifying tomorrow as well for race 2. But we have a new track record here in USF2000. Exciting way to kick off this particular weekend for USF2000 drivers. 1 minute remaining. 120.182 for D. Orlando. A tenth quicker. Jace Denmark now goes at 122.84. Sooner Murley third, Campbell fourth, Green fifth, Siegel sixth, Kiko Porto down in seventh. Eighth is Josh Pearson, ninth, Thomas Nepfu, and 10th, Spike Kohlbecker. Less than a tenth separate the top 14. What we would expect by the end of the season, these rookies have got better and better throughout the season. Last race, always kind of some of the tightest racing we see because the rookies who were rookies then now have that full season essentially under the belt. 10 seconds remaining. We'll see the checkered flag on the straightaway coming out of turn number 9, the alternate start-finish line. So everybody you're seeing rolling through turn 1 on their final circuit. Can Michael D'Orlando hold on here and grab that crucial bonus point? Still, the odds-on favorite is Kiko Porto. A huge gap, as we said, that cushion he has, but D'Orlando trying to scrap back everything he possibly can. Sooner Murthy can't quite do it. 600ths back for Yuvan Sooner Murthy. Everybody's still on the flyer here in the final circuit of this qualifying run. D'Orlando for Cape Motorsports, still the fastest driver on the racetrack. A number of guys coming down pit lane already. Sooner Murthy came up just short of 120.244, 61 thousandths of a second back. It's still Denmark third, Campbell fourth. Miles Rowe up to the top 10. He goes 10th in the number 99 Force Indy machine. 120.657 for Miles Rowe, less than a half a second back. Watch these final drivers work their way through turns number 6 and 7 to cap things off. D'Orlando still holding on to it. I love the fight in the New York driver. Last driver's coming across the line, I believe. Indeed, circling through the cameras. And that is going to be it. And I'll tell you, do not go gentle into that good night. Michael D'Orlando keeping up the fight in the number 4 with the Cape Motorsports team. Very impressive, a 120.182. Chips 1 point away. And he'll try to see if he can't win from pole position later on today, 350 green flag start. Again, all Porto has to do really is finish in the top 4, top 5. But again, he's going to start 6th. So here's your top 10 rundown. This is going to be interesting. Michael D'Orlando with the fast lap. Yuvan Sooner Murthy back by just 600th, as I said. Jace Denmark and Prescott Campbell will be on row number 2. Josh Green alongside Kiko Porto on row 3. Nolan Siegel and Josh Pearson row 4. Thomas Nepfu and Miles Rowe capping off your top 10 to occupy row number 5. Row 6 will see Spike Kohlbecker start alongside Christian Weir. Dylan Christie and Eli Navarro on row 7. Evan Stammer and Bajoy Garg on row 8. Andre Castro and Jackson Lee on row 9. Billy Fraser and Kent Vaccaro on row 10. And Trey Burke and Michael Myers rounding out the 22 drivers on row number 11 for the main event later on this afternoon. USF2000. And their first race will cap the day's action here with the Road to Indy. But again, Michael D'Orlando turning things up. He had the provisional pole. Everybody put on fresh Coopers. They all worked their way back to the front. Even Sooner Murthy had the provisional pole for a time. But D'Orlando on lap number 11, dropping the hammer, does a 182 rather, a new track record as well for Michael D'Orlando. So add a little exclamation point to that qualifying run. Scores a bonus point, closes up a little bit closer to Kiko Porto. And again, as we know, when it comes to Mid-Ohio, giving himself an opportunity to potentially go full points starting from the pole. Porto from the outside of row number 3. He's definitely in a little bit of a danger zone for sure, a little further back. Not too bad. Maybe later down in the top 10 could be more of a danger zone, but Porto for sure will be trying to be smart, see if he can't get as many points as he possibly can. But D'Orlando definitely throwing a little fuel on the championship discussion before things are all said and done. Well, folks, qualifying done for the opening races. 3 more wheel-to-wheel races coming for you. We'll be back here on Road to Indy TV in about 20 minutes' time. 12:30 scheduled start time for the pre-show for the opening of 2 Indy Lights races. Again, $1.25 million scholarship on the line. It's a battle between Kyle Kirkwood and David Malucas. It's going to be a tremendous race for sure here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Thank you so much for tuning in to qualifying for USF2000. Again, back at 12:30. Parker Thompson will join me for that one, folks. It should be a lot of fun. Hope to see you here. On behalf of everyone from the road to Indy, my name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.